Good morning, VC. It's Steve Woody here, coming up with volume 53 of Recent Finds, where I show off my latest finds from charity shops and local record store. This video is going to be quite long. This is the first one in 2 weeks. It's going to feature some classicals, some singles, and then some albums that I've purchased. The reason one video last week was last week I went to a charity concert over at the Station Pub in Sutton Coldfield. 5 bands on. My niece's boyfriend's band, the Mother's Earth experience. Sorry, no experiment. I never get it right. We're headlining. It raised about £400 for an arts project in Tanzania. Oh, it went very well. Thing was that somebody mentioned let's go for curry afterwards. Yes, my inner 25-year-old sort of said yes to that. Enjoyed a curry, went back round to somebody's house with a few other people for a coffee, listened to some music, and by the time I got home it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, so I wasn't up so much last Sunday. So apologies for that. So without further ado, I said this is going to be quite a longish video. I'll start off with the classical music finds. Now these were charity shop finds where they were going for pennies because they weren't selling. So first up, 10-inch album, which is unusual. This is Mozart's Concerto in A minor for clarinet and orchestra, featuring Gervais de Prez on clarinet with the London Symphony Orchestra conducted by Anthony Collins. That was alright. Bringing out the inner Torval and Dean in me, this is Ravel, recorded by the Paris Conservatoire Orchestra, conducted by Andre Claytons. So you've got Bolero, which is probably Ravel's best known work in the UK, and that's because Torval and Dean used it on their gold medal winning ice dance routine for the 1984 Winter Olympics in Sarajevo. Some Stravinsky, and again, this first one is Petrushka and the Firebird Suite, again featuring the Paris Conservatoire Orchestra, conducted by Pierre Montreux. These are all very old records. We're talking about late 50s, early 60s. Not bad condition. Then you've got the, I hope I'm pronounced this right, Pulcinella Suite and the Song of the Nightingale. And this is the Ernest Amoret conducting l'Orchestre de la Suisse Romande. Decca Records, yeah. Another Decca release. Again, Stravinsky. This is Les Noches and Symphony of the Palms, again featuring Ernest Amoret with the l'Orchestre de la Suisse Romande. On CBS, CBS Blue Label. I can get this out. Yeah, this is La Rossignol, an opera in 3 acts. This is performed by the Opera Society of Washington, and this is sung in Russian. Almost done with the classical. Some various William Walton conducted classical works. Some Wagner, Tristan and Isolde, and the I'll show you. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this at this time in the morning. Again, this is featuring the Paris Conservatoire Orchestra, this time conducted by Carl Schurrt. And then last one was, it's on the Music for Pleasure labels, it's favourite overtures of the London Philharmonic Orchestra. So you've got some Sibelius, Wagner, and some Smetana. This came out in 1972. That's all the classical stuff, which was quite pleasing to find. So next up, I'm going to show you some singles that I managed to pick up, and I've managed to pick up quite a few um, charity shop donations, um, and a couple I brought in the shop itself. So this is the 1979 issue of Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs. I think you need to know much about that. It's just a classic record. Brothers Johnson, Stomp, top 10 hit in 1980. This is Chic, Dance, 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 Yowza, Yowza, Yowza. Their first hit single in the UK and in the States. Clannad, and this is the theme from Harry's Game. This was a television program in 1982 set about an agent who finds himself in Northern Ireland, and yeah, it's a hauntingly beautiful piece of music. Some actually quite modern stuff for me. Colca, featuring Junior Reid, Stop This Crazy Thing. Now, one insert batch I found was like what's known as jukebox singles, where the record it's just mainly it's not much for sale, but they end up in jukeboxes and they've ended up in people's collection. So this is Del Amitri, and this is Here and Now, and on the back it's Always the Last to Know. There's not even I don't think a commercial release. I think it's just something that was put on jukeboxes. Couple of they're both hits. They're both singles for Del Amitri. Earth, Wind and Fire, Fantasy. One of the great vocal performances of all time. I don't even know female or male. Yvonne Fair, It Should Have Been Me. A constant smoochy snog record at the end of the night. Fat Larry's band Zoom. Get it the right way. Yeah. Many a slow dance in the night, trying to stick my tongue down somebody's throat. Fleetwood Green, Fleetwood Mac, Pete Green's Fleetwood Mac, Oh Well, Part 1 and Part 2. Another one of these jukebox records. This is Freak Power, and this is Turn On, Turn In. I'm not sure if it was number 1 or top 10's record. I think it might just have been a top 10 record. This was a number 1 record. 1982, Eddie Grant, I Don't Wanna Dance. Big Fun, but Inner City, with Big Fun there. Quincy Jones, Aino Querido. This was written by Chas Jankel after he left in during the Blockheads, and Quincy Jones picked up that, and this was the hit version. Though I think Chas Jankel's version is probably more preferable. Lynx, You're Lying. This was their first hit single. Type of classic single. Loving Spoonful, Summer in the City. M People, One Night in Heaven. I think their breakthrough's hit single at the time. Madonna, True Blue. On the B-side, an edited version of Holiday. So 2 singles for the price of 1. Johnny Nash and his version of Bob Marley's Stir It Up. And to a lot of people, this will have been their introduction to Bob Marley. Another jukebox record. This is New Order and True Faith 94. An introduction to world music to a lot of people would have been Obedisa and Sunshine Day, which was their big hit single. Tatty cover, but Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr. again, another jukebox record. This is Pet Shop Boys, West End Girls, number 1 in 1986. I believe it's 30 years ago. I was playing Please last night, a couple of nights ago. The album it came from, which was just released, so 31 years ago. Another Pet Shop Boys record, Domino Dancing. Some Police singles. So Lonely, originally issued in 1978. I'm not sure if it's the reissue or the issue, because when it became a top 10 hit in 1980, it was reissued. I think this probably will be the reissue. Can't Stand Losing You. Again, I think this may work. Yeah, this is the reissue. It came out in 78 originally, and the original, and the BBC frowned upon it a little bit, partly because it mentioned about suicide, and the cover is, if you recall, is a bloke committing suicide slowly by standing on a block and having a fire on and melting the block, and it's glowing just as it's about to pull away and hang him. Got to number 2 in the reissue, 1979. First number 1 single for the Police, Message in a Bottle. In my youth, I had this in green vinyl. Oh. I didn't realise, but I'd already got a copy of this. This is Diana Ross, Upside Down. I think this might be an American version, I'm not sure. It's on the Motown label there. Slightly different Motown label than what the UK had. Shaggy, Bombastic, a number 1 single from 1995. It's something I liked at the time. It was different when it first came out. Shack Attack, Easier Said Than Done, top 10 single from 1981, I think. Yeah. If the Kids Are United, Sham 69, B-side Sunday Morning Nightmare. Sham 69 were one of my favourites. They were almost cartoonish like the punk band, but they attracted a lot of trouble with the National Front's followers, and they seemed to latch on to them. I don't know, and it sort of blighted their career a little bit. Small Faces, My Mind's Eye. And another Small Faces, Edgecote Park. And it's immediate, it's a little bit tatty. Number 1 record from 1992, Snaps, Rhythm is a Dancer. Again, a jukebox copy. This record I was really pleased to find. This is Split Ends, 6 Months in a Leaky Boat. This was released in 1982, and it looks like it was going to be another hit for them. And then, for some reason, the BBC and the Infinite Wisdom, at the time of release, we had the Falklands conflict going on, and obviously boats were going down to the Falklands containing soldiers to fight, and I thought it was just a bit too insensitive to be playing that, and so they stopped playing it, and the record sort of died a death a little bit, which was a shame. And Split Ends split up, called it a day not long afterwards. Donna Summer, Love's Unkind. Stereo MCs, Step It Up. The album it came from won all the awards for Album of the Year, and then they just didn't release anything for ages, and obviously when you don't release anything for a long time, your momentum goes. One of my favourite songs of all time, Telegram Sam, T-Rex. T-Rex, when I first started watching Top of the Pops, Mark Bolan was the predominant face on it. He was the big act at the time, the glitter under his eyes. I just thought epitome of being a pop star, and I still do. I just think it's always worth getting hold of Mark Bolan. T-Rex stuff. Crystal Waters, Gypsy Woman, La La Dee. This is a single highlighting homelessness. A bit of a one-hit wonder. Band that should have been a one-hit wonder, but they did have 2 hit singles. This was a number 1 for them in 1976. The Combine Harvester Brand New Key, which was a take on Melanie's I've Got a Pair of Roller Skates. Wurzels were a band from Somerset, a bit of a comedy band. It didn't start out as a comedy. It was a totally different band, but the lead singer at that time, Arch Cutler, died in a car crash, and they carried on and then moved into more comedic vein. That was their number one single. And they followed up with probably something even more stupid. They did a I'm a Cider Drinker to the tune of Uma Paloma Blanca. I think enough said there. And finally, on the singles front, I was pleased to find this Yellow, The Race. Really big, their big single. It was popular for them at that time. Yeah, I was really pleased to find that. Now, coming on to the third stage, and probably more contemporary albums that I've managed to pick up. So, much to the ire of the Chris, who I know is not a big fan of this band, but I managed to pick up Intensity's Bloody Tourist. It was only 50p. I managed to pick it up for. It's got Dreadlock Holiday. It was the second album that just featured Eric Stewart and Graham Gouldman. As I said, Dreadlock Holiday was big single, number one hit single in '78. Also got Reds in the Bed, Rochdale to Ocho Rios, Everything You Wanted to Know About. They did try and put some more quirky moments in, but it's definitely Stewart and Gouldman's writing that's on there. I don't think you do miss the Godley and Cream element of the band. Excuse me. Pat Benatar's debut album, In the Heat of the Night. A lot produced by Mike Chapman and Pete Coleman. You can see the Chinny Chap involvement in this. Heartbreaker, big hit single for her, breakthrough single for her. She's done a version of I Need a Lover by John Cougar Mellencamp. If You Think You Know How to Love Me, that's a smoky song that Mike Chapman co-wrote with Nicky Chin, and No You Don't, which is a sweet song which she covered. So yeah, mixture. Heartbreaker is the standout track, and it's the rocking track on there. I can see why she got picked up, particularly in the UK with the Metal Hands. They sort of held on to her when she did tour. I think in 1983, the gigs were sold out despite not having really any hit singles. Whereas Paul Jones Jett and the Blackhearts had I Love Rock and Roll, did a big tour, and they played to near empty houses. Elvis Costello and Attractions, Goodbye Cruel World. Yeah, pleased to pick this up. In the record store, a couple of quid. I haven't heard it yet, so I can't really comment. Ian Hunter, All American Alien Boy. This is his second solo album, and this, as it says, he decided to make the States his home. Features on vocals Freddie Mercury, Brian May, and Roger Taylor, or Roger Meadows Taylor. Obviously, linking back to Queen, supporting Mott the Hoople. Quite a lot of jazz players on here, but in the jazz record, you also got on drums Ainsley Dunbar, you got David Sanborn on saxophone, Jaco Pastorius bass, and he's even on guitar on a track called God Take One. Yeah, it's a really good album, and the chance to pick up some of Ian Hunter for £4. I wasn't going to say no to that. It plays really well as well. Jean-Michel Jarre, Equinox. This was his second album. It came out in 1978. Follow up to Oxygen. Different sounding album, but again, I haven't played it, so I can't really comment on it. Charity Shop Find. And I thought I'd take a punt on this. Udo Jürgens. So what do I know about Udo Jürgens? Udo Jürgens came from Austria, and the song Merci Chérie won the 1966 Eurovision Song Contest. It is a bit scratched. It's not in great condition. It said it cost me pennies. The album itself, what they played, isn't too bad. I was expecting a lot of umpire music, but actually it's not too bad. In fact, the worst track on it is Mercy Cherie. Um, so the prize for Austria winning in 1960 Eurovision Song Contest in 1966 was they hosted it in '67, which Sandy Shaw won. But Great Britain, the first time we ever won it, was Puppet on a String. This is a compilation, Kinks compilation. I haven't got any Kinks albums in my vinyl collection, so to see this, I thought, I'll take this. 1978. It's a pipe stroke Ronco compilation, so it more likely would have been may have been advertised on television at the time. And different logo. In fact, there's a hint of Kiss in this with the way the logo is. But it's got the singles, the major singles at that point. So a good compilation to have. Picked Us Up for a Pound. This is Elvis Presley, Girls, Girls, Girls. Soundtrack album, which probably lasts about 30 minutes, but it has got Return to Sender on it. So yeah, pleased to pick that up. Almost getting there. Really pleased to pick this up. This is Santana's Abraxas. This is, I believe, their second album, and this is on the Columbia Records. I think it's an American copy of this record, and plays beautifully. And you've got on here Black Magic Woman, Oi Kumoyava, Samba Pati. Hope you're feeling better. It's just a great album. So I posted this on Instagram, and somebody just put classic, and it is. Almost done. This is a concept album. This was a concert for people of Kampuchea. This was recorded in 1979. Unfortunately, Kampuchea. This is Cambodia, basically. Pol Pot, when he took over, he got in year one, all his genocide. He renamed the country Kampuchea for whatever reason. I don't know whether it was a former name for it. I don't know. Khmer name. But in 78 and 79, the extent of what he had done to the people and what he'd done to the country came out, and it was a desperate state. And a lot of people raised a lot of money. The Blue Peter Christmas Appeal was for it, the Blue Peter Children's Program. Then this album came out. Now, featured on the album, you've got The Who, Pretenders, Queen, Clash, Injury in a Blockhead, Specials, Paul McCartney and Wings, Rock Pile, Elvis Costello and the Attractions. And then the last few tracks are what's known as Rock Orchestra, where the bands all got together, and all Paul McCartney's organised this rock orchestra, and they were all like wearing silver jackets, apart from Pete Townsend. Apparently said it made him look like a buff. There is, I think, there might be clips on YouTube. I remember seeing a television. They did record this, and it may come out on video, but it did appear on. Do remember it appearing on television. It's a product of its time. I haven't listened to it yet, so it may be a disappointment. It may be great. That one did listen to. This album, Monsters of Rock, came out just after the first Monsters of Rock festival in 1980. You've got Rainbow. They come up on 2 tracks. They did Stargazer. Now, they didn't do Stargazer when they toured with Graham Bonnet. They did for Richie Blackmore deemed it important at such an occasion that they did do it, and All Night Long. For Rainbow, this gig was the last to feature Cozy Powell and Graham Bonnet. They were soon out of the band. Well, Cozy Powell left. Graham Bonnet, I think, was fired as they want at the time. You've also got Scorpions on here. April Wine's got a track on here. I Like to Rock. Saxon with Backs to the Wall. This gig inspired Saxons to write, and the bands played on. You've got Touch, Do You Know What Love Is, and then Road Racing by Riot. The only act that was at the festival doesn't appear on the record is Judas Priest, and that might well be for contractual reasons. Then being on CBS. It comes out on the Polydor record label. It was on a special low price. I do remember people buying it. Yeah, I picked it up for £1. Thought it's well worth having it. Just as a sort of like a catalogue to something that happened for a period of time in 1980. Well, that concludes the video for today. Pretty much up to date now with my recent finds. So hopefully the next videos I'm just going to try and diverse into other things. I'm a bit behind, about a week behind on people's videos, my subscribers. So I've missed competitions and the like. So here's to having it. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. The sun is shining in the UK. Clocks have gone forward. So if you want to subscribe, click on the subscribe button and be like, I have a new subscriber, Daddy Sensei Silver, somebody I've already subscribed to. He subscribed back to me. Great channel, some interesting music. He's got some interesting videos as well. So yeah, feel free to subscribe, leave any comments, thumbs up, and all greatly appreciated. So until the next video, take care, VC.